Hello and welcome to Behind the Lines. I'm Diane Dayton. Everyone needs someone to be on their side, and Advocates for Foster Children is what we're going to talk about today. It's CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. With us right now we have the Executive Director, Jessica Lespino. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
And Board of Directors, we have Melissa Liebig. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
This is a wonderful thing that you do. Tell me how this started.
This actually started as a concept nationally back in 1977 in Seattle, Washington. There was a family court judge, Judge David Sukop, who presided over cases of children who had suffered abuse and neglect in their homes and had to be placed into the foster care system. He felt what he was missing in his courtroom was a community member's kind of common sense perspective, and most importantly, the child's voice and the child's perspective on what was happening on a day-to-day basis. So he put a plea out to his community, asking for community members who would be willing to stand up and speak up for a child in the foster care system. And he did his own screening, his own vetting, his own training, and he started appointing individuals to children on his docket or on his caseload and asking for them to go out and meet with the child and others involved in that child's life and report back to him as to what was happening on a day-to-day basis. And what he found was that that community member's perspective was so integral in helping to make sure that he was making the decisions that truly were in the best interest of the child, that it later formally became the CASA program, or the Court Appointed Special Advocate program, and spread throughout the country.
Boy, that's a huge undertaking, but so vitally important,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah, so in Lancaster it started when?
Lancaster, we also have a very similar kind of startup here locally. In 2005, the President and Judge of Dependency Court, Judge Farina, had heard of successful neighboring CASA programs in York County and Cumberland County, and didn't know why children in Lancaster didn't have a CASA, or we didn't have a CASA program. So he appointed Judge Gorby to spearhead the steering committee, and she gathered a wonderful cross-section of legal and child welfare and community professionals to start to investigate the validity of having a CASA program here in Lancaster, and if it would be as useful. And not a surprise, the children in Lancaster County were just as much in need of having a CASA as children in other communities. And so they worked for about 2 years. They founded the first board of directors in 2007, and then those two entities worked for another 2 years until I was hired in the fall of 2009.
That's great. You're on the board of directors, Melissa.
That's right.
What brought you to this?
Well, I was fortunate enough to work in the same building that Jessica was, and you know, I'm somebody who's for the child. I was tired of hearing all of those stories on the news and reading things in the paper, and I wanted to be able to do something about it. I don't know that I have a strong enough heart to actually go in and visit these children and to see and to hear their stories, so I enjoy being on the board of directors to kind of oversee the program and help in any way that I can.
Let's talk about the picture here in Lancaster.
Sure.
You know, the children served, the number and care, that sort of thing.
Sure, it varies. So on any given day, on any given single day, there's probably about 550 youth in foster care in Lancaster County. And throughout the course of a year, that number looks closer to about 750. We are able to advocate for and serve about 35%. So on any given day, we're serving just over 200. So we're a little bit shy of 50%, and our goal is to be able to advocate for every single one of those children by 2020.
Wow. So why get involved? I know that answer, but tell me.
As for a potential volunteer, you know, I think that if you have a heart for children, that's really the only qualification you need. It is a huge undertaking and a really large commitment for a community member to make. But if you have a passion for children and a heart for children, you go through a screening and a training process, and then you have the support of a staff member throughout your advocacy. So if you want to make a true lifelong impact, this is the way to do it.
Now, I know you're a nonprofit.
Correct.
So it's through grants, and what are some of the other funding sources?
We get a majority of our funding through grants, individual donations, corporate donations, and also through special events.
Okay, and that's where you come in too,
That
Melissa,
is, that's
right?
right, yeah.
Funding is a big part of what you're involved with, and you have a gala coming up. Tell us more about all of this.
Sure, yeah. Well, our annual Heroes Gala and Benefits Dinner is going to be this year at Bent Creek Country Club, Friday, November 4th. And it's a benefits dinner complete with silent auction and live auction. It's one of our big fundraising events that we do. We also do a Heroes 5K race that we do in the summer too. So with our gala, we have guests purchase tickets online, and there's information on the CASA website about that.
Okay.
And then also just the bidding for the prices, all that goes back into the program.
And I know it takes a bit to put together something like this.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for a wonderful cause. So we can start to mark our books now for November 4th.
Please do.
Now, if we go to the website, what are we going to find? And we'll put the website up on the screen. What do we find there?
I think you'll find a variety of information. You'll see our mission and our vision. Our mission is to help facilitate a safe, permanent, and nurturing home for every child. It's something our program firmly believes is a human right, and that's part of what our advocates look to fight for every day when they work with these kids. Then you'll also see the upcoming Case for CASA, or community awareness sessions, where people who are interested in learning more about the program in any capacity, certainly those interested in volunteering, can come to one of our upcoming monthly sessions. There is also the volunteer application and frequently asked questions, as well as some of our press releases and events.
Okay. This means a lot to you to be involved with this too, doesn't it, Melissa?
Yes, it does.
Tell me really a little bit more why and what it has done.
Well, you know, I grew up in a lower income home, and I had friends in similar situations, and I probably witnessed things that I shouldn't have. And again, I think if I was a true advocate and volunteer, that I'd want to adopt all the kids. And since I can't do that, I love to be able to plan the events to help create awareness about the children. I mean, these are our neighbors. This is our own backyard here in Lancaster County. And like Jessica said, our goal of having a CASA for every child in foster care by 2020, we can definitely do that with the help of Lancaster County by volunteering and getting involved with our special events.
What happens to one of us in the community happens to all of us.
Absolutely.
So it makes a difference when we each step up in whatever capacity that we feel comfortable. And that's where you can help us to find out where we can help in a volunteer position. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we can work on the board, we can work as a volunteer, we can work as an advocate as well.
Yes.
Thank you for giving us some of this information and all the good work that you do. We're going to talk to some advocates and get some more inside stories when we return, so stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and this is advocates for foster children we're talking about, because everyone does need someone to be on their side, and what you do is great work. With us right now, we have volunteer manager, we have Laura Golem. Thank you for being with us. And we also have a CASA advocate, and you're just beginning with this too, Nicole Snavely. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
There's a lot involved. What does it mean to be a CASA?
It means, you know, first taking the step to say that you're going to stand up and be a voice for a child in the foster care system. And then it means meeting that child and kind of becoming part of their world and meeting everybody who's important to them. And then it also means writing court reports and attending scheduled hearings and speaking to the judge and the other professionals on behalf of that child and saying, this is what's in that child's best interest.
What are some of the skills that you look for?
We look for people who are outgoing, you know, who aren't afraid to meet new people, because that's a big part of it. Sure. People who are organized, people who just, you know, have a passion for helping children and helping others, and working with others. People get nervous during the interview process when we talk about court report writing and testimony, and we tell them not to worry, we can teach anybody how to do that. It's pretty simple. So we look for people who are just dedicated and want to help in their community.
Well, I assume, too, you probably have a wide cross-section of people that are advocates. Is that correct?
We do. We have, you must be at least 21 years old to be a CASA, but we have people from 21 up through age 70 and beyond. We have men, women, we have people who work full-time, we have people who are retired, we have students, you know, we get everybody.
Yeah. Well, you're just starting your training, Nicole.
Yes.
And I mean, first of all, you are a mother, you work full-time, you've just finished your second master's, and you're going to have another baby.
Yeah.
And you decide to do this.
Yes.
What propelled you to do this?
I mean, you can never have too much on your plate,
Obviously.
really, obviously. No, but the CASA program is actually something I've wanted to get involved in for a very long time. But when I was in school, it just wasn't the right time. I couldn't, put the focus on it. But once I finished, I, contacted them, went to one of the information sessions, and then started my training pretty soon afterwards.
Yeah. Well, what was it about this program?
It's helping children, and especially after I had my son. Not that I didn't care about children before, but I saw the life that I was able to provide for my son, and hearing the stories, in the news, reading the newspaper, and just the horrible lives that sometimes these kids have to deal with, at such a young age. I just wanted to be able to make some sort of a difference.
It struck a chord closer to home, didn't
Yes.
it? You got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now there's quite a bit of time involved with the training. I think you do training several times a year. Is it 30 hours of training? Is that right?
It is. It's approximately 30 hours. So the first step to becoming an advocate is attending one of our information sessions, like Nicole said. And then there's an application and an interview process. And so once you're accepted into a training class, it is about 30 hours. It's 4 weeks of classes twice a week. We just started a class. And so we do about 3 trainings a year at this point.
Okay.
And we try to have larger class sizes with about 20 to 25 advocates in them.
Okay. And then after you get through the training, the next step is what?
The next step is we assign you to a case.
Okay.
So,
how do you match people up?
we have people fill out an interest form that tells us what age group you'd most like to work with, and if you have any special skills that might be applicable to any case that we get. And then we give our advocates the freedom to choose their case. So we'll get the paperwork and we'll read it and we'll say, boy, this really looks like this person would be interested. And we call them in and we have them read it, and then they're allowed to say yes or no to see if it'd be a good fit. And most of the time they say yes.
Okay. So then let's look at it after you've gone through all of this and you are an advocate. How much time is required? And I assume that does vary.
It does vary. About 12 to 15 hours a month. We like you to see the child for at least 3 hours a month, which isn't a lot, when you break it down. And like I like to tell people, it's flexible time. It's kind of on your own schedule, and you're contacting a lot of other adult professionals in a lot of cases. So it's emails and phone calls, and I always tell people their time is as valuable as yours. So it's usually during the day or maybe an evening, but it's pretty much your own schedule.
Okay. Well, you obviously are good at scheduling things with everything that you have on your plate. How are you going to work this into what you already have?
I'm very fortunate to work for a corporation that is really big into volunteer work. So I am able to allow my schedule during the day to be a little bit more flexible. And then during the evenings, once my son goes to bed, I can make phone calls, or if I have to do things in the early evening, luckily my husband, can take care of the son for a little bit while I do things. So just fitting it in, where I can and where it's convenient for the other people that I have to speak to.
Well, now that you're going through the training, is it what you expected it to be? What's your feelings about this?
It was more than a good more, not a bad more. I learned a lot during the training. It was eye-opening. It was exactly what I thought the program was going to be, and kind of just solidified it. And being able to listen to people who go through it, the judges that we're speaking to, lawyers that we're going to be speaking to, and hearing their viewpoints on how special CASA really is, I just knew I was in the right place.
You realize the importance of being an advocate and the
Absolutely.
liaison that you are, and the difference that it makes in the lives, right?
Absolutely.
What would you say to somebody who's thinking, maybe in the back of their mind, well, maybe I should check into this?
Go to an information session. It doesn't hurt to go there and talk to people. Send emails to people within the organization. See if you can maybe talk to an advocate, see what it's like, and schedule-wise and everything else. Because once you go through the training, once you speak to everybody, you'll just realize how amazing the organization is and the difference that it really does make for, one child at a time. And if you can just change the life of one person, why wouldn't you want to do it?
That's right, because that one person and their life and their relationship with other people in the community and the family makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely.
And we each can make a difference too, right? We're going to put the website up on the screen. You're going to find out more information. You can find out about training on there too, right?
Yes, we post our training dates on, on the website.
So then they can also communicate to you through the website?
There's contact information like our phone number, and we have a general email address that we answer pretty quickly.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for all that you do, and good luck with everything. I think this is really, really wonderful. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to an advocate who's been doing this for a little while. Stay with us. Welcome back to Behind the Lines. We're talking about CASA, Advocates for Foster Children. We've brought back Jessica. She's the executive director. We now have with us Janice Weber-Brown, and you are a case advocate, and you've been doing this for a couple of years, right? Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
One of the things that we really need to address is how long you are with, the child as a part of the advocacy.
Yeah, that's a great question. We ask that our volunteers make the commitment to the length of one case, and that can be on average 18 to 24 months, sometimes a bit quicker, and sometimes unfortunately a bit longer. And we ask for that reason, we ask for that commitment until the child achieves permanency. And that can mean a couple different things, and it's really case dependent. It's what's in the best interest of that child. So permanency can mean going home, it can mean being adopted, and for some of our older youth, it can mean successfully leaving the system as an independent adult.
Okay. Why did you get involved, Janice?
I just retired in January. I was 40 years in nursing, and that was dealing with the adult population. And I've always had a heart for children. I raised 2 boys, and the issue with why I got into that was I find that children do not put themselves in those situations. Adults kind of put themselves in their own situations and have to suffer the consequences. Children do not. And I like being a voice for those children who have been placed in situations that they really don't have control over.
And that really is what you are. You are their voice. You make a difference. You make a difference in every aspect of their life. What has it been like for you these 2 years? I know there have probably been cases and situations, but what has it been like for you?
Very frustrating, very rewarding, very fulfilling. I find I have 2 young teenagers, and just a lot of the time, basically, you're just listening to their frustrations, what's happening in their everyday life, what they can and what they can have control over and what they don't have control over, and just giving like a neutral opinion, that they aren't hearing from their parent or, their foster, and just being that third advocate voice for them.
There, I'm sure, are many success stories.
Yes.
Can you share a success story with me?
Mine is still pending. We're still in the process. My success story probably at this point is just watching them mature, being able to be their own voice, being able to say what they don't like and what they do like and what they want to do in the future, and have somebody be able to represent them to say, that's what their feelings are about.
Okay. I would assume you're working one case at a time per
Yes, the
advocate,
majority are.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because that would really be a lot.
Absolutely. And to answer a little bit too to your earlier question, I think throughout the course of our organization, since we took our first case in 2010, we've had series of wonderful success stories, and really they vary. We tell our advocates some successes are incremental. Sometimes it's getting a child in the right classes in school or helping to advocate for the medical appointment they so desperately need, and those are huge successes for that child.
Yes.
Others are larger successes. We had a case with an advocate who was working with 3 little girls, and there was some disagreement over to what was in their best interest. She was able to visit with them regularly in their father's home, in their mother's home, as well as with their foster parents. And ultimately, she was integral in helping to reunify them with their father right before Christmas. So that's one of our huge successes.
That is wonderful. And we don't think sometimes about those simple needs you're talking about.
Right.
And that's what the advocate does. That doctor's appointment or seeing that certain basic needs are taken care of. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, there's a saying sometimes we talk about in the office where, you know, the system, quote unquote, is not meant to be a parent. Certainly the professionals, the foster parents, everyone involved is doing absolutely the best they can, but no one can replace the role of a parent. And CASA advocates can be just another tool, someone to help kind of connect all the pieces to help make that system as complete as possible from the perspective of the child until he or she has that parent again.
Yeah, yeah. It's important to have more volunteers, and I know you need more
Yes.
volunteers because the need is great.
The need is very great. Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we're only serving about 30% of the children, which means 30% or 70% rather of the children don't have a Nicole, don't have a Janice, don't have that voice in court, that laser point focus on their best interests and their needs.
And how many are there in Lancaster County waiting now? You were
Waiting,
saying? Yeah.
probably on any given day over 300,
Wow, and you're serving how many then? It would be
just about 200.
just about 200. Wow. Tell anyone who's watching why they should do this as someone who is doing this.
If you really want to have a goal where you can have success, and that's, like she said, in increments, that could be a little thing versus a huge major development, you can't go wrong. Yeah. And like I said, children, a lot of them are placed in positions they have no idea how they even got there half the time, and just that they have somebody that can be their support.
How many hours a month do you think you spend doing this?
You know, I never even.
Is it about
I never
12,
even
15?
counted.
It's probably
yeah,
so
I
much
never
a
even,
part of your life.
Yeah,
and
I
who
just.
you are,
I
right?
mean, between texting, you know, with the
Right.
foster parents and texting with the kids, and then going and seeing them face to face, and going to family night with them, you know, I never even sat down and
And
counted. I just.
And
you
that's
know,
all
I
right
just do it.
because of that, what you're saying to me is how involved you are. It's more of a relationship for you, and
Right.
that's what it is as a
Right.
volunteer. You have
Yes.
a relationship within this family, within this whole dynamic and this process with the child, making a difference and being that voice.
Right. Right.
Thank you for doing that.
Thanks.
Thank you, because it makes a difference for all of us in the community.
It does.
And thank you so much for what you're doing. And for anybody who wants to be a volunteer, we're going to put the information up on the screen. There's a Facebook page. There's also a website you can find out about it, the training, and any other volunteer opportunities. Thank you once again. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today, too. I'm Diane Dayton with Behind the Lines. And remember, keep looking behind the lines. You might be surprised what you find.